fam. Jens wanted an updated breast cancer story, so here it is. Sorry guys, I'm like loving the Whitney oversized t-shirt, and look how cute these power shorts are. I think it's such a really good combination. But anyway, here is an updated breast cancer vlog. Jens keep asking me if I would do an updated breast cancer story and just kind of like keep you updated for where I am. I tend to get a lot of these questions whenever I do my weekly QAs on Instagram. And I don't know what my hair is doing right now, but it's kind of like driving me crazy a little bit. It's just like really humid here today, so it's probably just from all that. But anyway, not important. So today I thought I would actually like sit down and talk to you about that, because it's been a while since I actually sat down and did just like a conversation that wasn't a QA session. So I don't even know where to start. So Jens kind of remember like 2 years ago, almost to the T, whenever I first came on and I announced that I had breast cancer while 20 weeks pregnant. So just to kind of like recap a little bit, especially for those of you who may be new to my channel, thank you guys for being here. I hope you guys subscribe because we're just full of fun here. But just to recap, whenever COVID had first started back in 2020, my husband and I miscarried, and it was 2 weeks after that that I noticed a lump on my right breast. With COVID shutting everything down, my doctor did not want me to come into the office, so we were just kind of trying to do everything via phone call. And she determined, without any kind of testing, that because of my age, because I stopped taking my birth control, and just because of the way I described the lump to her, she thought it was a cyst. So I'm like, okay, kind of made sense, because, you know, it didn't feel hard, and it was like kind of fluid-like, which my mom was also a breast cancer survivor, and hers was more solid, and it didn't hurt, where mine was kind of painful, almost like muscle. So I'm like, okay. So, you know, we're waiting, and come May 2020, we got pregnant again. I went to my first OB appointment in July, I believe. It was either late June or early July. Brought it up to my OB, and, you know, she didn't seem too concerned with it, you know, just kind of like brushed it off, didn't do any kind of exam. The lump itself never grew, like it wasn't growing, it was still staying consistent. So we're like, okay, you know, that's 2 doctors now at this point who weren't really concerned. And then in September, it was actually September, let's see, 30th was Monday. I'm sorry, 30th was Wednesday, that was the 28th, 27th, 20, on September 25th, I made a phone call to my breast surgeon, who I might have been seeing for years because of the BRCA gene. I'm BRCA positive. And, you know, I told her my concerns, and it was just to the point where I just wanted to work out again, because I couldn't really like move my arm. Like if I like lifted something heavy, it would like pull, and it was like really painful, and it's just like, you know, can you fix this? So whenever I went in, you know, like she said that she was really worried, which is something that she's never said before, ever. And, you know, I went to the office on Monday, you know, she's telling me this. On Tuesday, I had an ultrasound and a biopsy done. On Wednesday, I went back to her office. So this is now September 30th. I got my official cancer diagnosis. On Thursday, we had our gender reveal where we found out we were having a little boy. And then on Friday, I was in surgery, 21 weeks pregnant to the day. So it was pretty crazy. They completely did the full right mastectomy. Everything went really well. Our unborn child was doing really well. His heartbeat was still how it should be. Like everything was great. Timing wise, the second trimester is the best time for anything like this to happen, because there's actually stuff that they are able to do where they wouldn't be able to if I was only in the first trimester. So in a way, like I looked at that as a blessing. Well, while we were all doing this, you know, we're waiting for pathology reports, and I met with my oncologist who also treated my mom, and there were 2 chemo drugs that they were able to give me while pregnant. So I had to have 4 rounds of chemo before I delivered my son, and they were 3 weeks apart. So like, if you're unfamiliar with it, I'd go to get chemo done, and then 1 week would pass, another week would pass, and I think it was a 3rd week that would pass. I think I went every 4th week. I think there was a 3-week gap. and then I would get more chemo, and then we just kept doing that for four times. You know, like I lost my hair. I donated my hair to Wigs For Kids before I completely lost it. That way I could have other kids feel beautiful, which if that's something that you want to do, I think Wigs For Kids is amazing. I'll post the link in the description in case you want to check them out. But I did send my hair for that, and then I ended up shaving my head because I just kept losing my hair at that point, and I'm just like, you know, it's not worth it. I'm tired of picking this up. Like, just be done, you know, basically. So I had my 4 rounds of chemo, and then I delivered my son at 37 weeks. I had about 3 weeks of recovery from childbirth, and then I had to go get chemo once a week for 12 times, like 12 cycles. I don't remember the chemo drugs I was on. I think Taxol was one. I don't remember the other 2, but I had to go and get chemo done until then. And the good thing was the second round of chemo, where I had to go every week, wasn't as strong as the first one. So like my side effects weren't really what they were. Not that I ever got sick. Surprisingly, I never got sick, like ever. And a lot of that they believe was from my pregnancy, just like my body trying to keep my, like, everything healthy. So, you know, I'd be in my chemo cubicle kind of working out, and, you know, like, just do what you gotta do to keep your anxiety down. And for me, like, working out is what keeps my anxiety in check. So I had those 12 rounds, and then whenever I was completely finished with chemo, in between chemo and radiation, my breast surgeon suggested we did a mammogram, an ultrasound, and an MRI on my left breast now, just to make sure there isn't anything there that may have grown. I get a call back after I got all of my testing done to find out that I had 4 microcalcifications in my left breast. So they did a biopsy on that, and it turns out that the microcalcifications were ductal carcinoma, which is basically like a stage 0 cancer. So it's all the precancer cells, and we're just like, great. So initially I called my oncologist because I have friends who work there. You know, I was like, hey, you know, like, what do we do? Like, can you check this out? Like, what are we supposed to do about this? So then, you know, we were talking about it. The oncologist actually called my breast surgeon on the phone and was like, hey, you know, like, I suggest we do this, and she agreed. So it turned out I had to now have a left full mastectomy. And then I was like, oh, no, we're gonna wait a second. I called my original gynecologist, who I saw way before we got pregnant, and, you know, again, same thing in line with my mom's. So I called him up and was like, hey, you know, this is what's going on. I never asked. I told him, I was like, you're gonna do a hysterectomy on me at the same time. We're doing the stool surgery like you did with my mom. Because my mom had the same thing, where she had a mastectomy first, went through all of her treatments, and then had her left side and a hysterectomy done at the same time. So I'm like, come on, we're doing this. He agreed. So I'm like, okay, great, we're getting it all taken care of, because I do not want to have any more surgeries than what I need to, and I'm done going under at this point. You know, like, I'm over it. Whenever we were doing the surgery, you know, everything came back clear, all the margins were good. It really truly only stayed as the pre-cancer, like nothing spread anywhere. I was thankful about that. The hysterectomy was really good. I honestly forgot I even had the hysterectomy done. Like, I had absolutely no pain whatsoever. I remember coming back to recovery, and the discharge nurse who was there, who works in the OR, asked me what my pain level was, and I was like, oh, you know, maybe like a 2 or 3. Like, my mastectomy hurt. Like, this side actually hurt, and I'm just like, you know, it wasn't unbearable. Like, it wasn't like I was like wincing in pain, or like I couldn't move. It was so difficult. Like, I was fine. It was like a 2 or 3. She gave me a Percocet, and I'm like, are you kidding me? So, like, I had to take it because I'm just like, okay, you know, you're the nurse, you know, obviously you know more than I do. Guys, I don't even take, like, ibuprofen or Tylenol for pain, like, nothing. Like, I take 0 medicine. So this really knocked me on my butt. And I'm like, okay. So, you know, like, we went and we did all that stuff. Now, meanwhile, like, as this is going on, my son is now almost 6 months old. So, going through chemo, I had a newborn. Whenever I finished chemo, he was 3 months old. Whenever I got the second surgery done, he was pushing 5 months. So I'm just like, okay, you know, he's doing more, he wants to be held. I had to wait to do that, but he was like pretty cool. Like, he understood. I mean, as well as a 5-month-old would. Like, I would still play with him and stuff, you know. It wasn't like I wasn't interacting with my son at all. But I then had radiation a month after my surgery because we had to wait for everything to be completely healed before we could do that. So for 30 treatments, I was going to the radiologist Monday through Friday consistently for 6 weeks to get this radiation done. And that all went really well. At this point, my oncologist had retired. So I'm like in the process of trying to find a new oncologist, which thankfully I did out at Nikki Women's Cancer Center. I now see Dr. Brufsky. And it just happened that he was the high-risk oncologist for my pregnancy that my original oncologist was communicating with. So I was perfectly fine going to him. He already knew what my story was. You know, he accepted me as a new patient just because we have already spoken before my first surgery. And, you know, like, I'm really pleased with that. So I'll go there for my initial consult. And it just so happened that 2 days prior to my appointment, there was a study that just got approved. Like, it wasn't a study. Like, this has now been approved. Like, the studies have been conducted. You know, the results were in. All the fun stuff that goes into everything. And it turns out that for women who have triple negative breast cancer, which is what my official diagnosis was, if you took a drug called Lynparza for 1 year, it lessens the likelihood of your cancer recurring. So I'm like, okay, like, radiation was supposed to be the end of my treatments. And, you know, like, I just remember sitting there, you know, like, obviously I'm going to do this, you know, like, I want to be here as long as I can. I want to be here for my son. You know, I don't plan on going anywhere anytime soon. I'm not missing out on my son's life. And at the same time, another part of me was just like, seriously, like, more treatment? Like, can't I just be done already? You know, like, it was like such a weird feeling. But I've been taking these pills. I should be done in September. I'm going to be done in September is what I should say. But so as far as my official, like, cancer diagnosis goes, the lump itself really was a cyst. So my doctors were not wrong about that. However, under my cyst is where my tumor sat. And, you know, that's the reason nobody was, like, really concerned until I actually saw my breast surgeon again, which thankfully I did. You know, I was my own advocate for it. But I'm just like, I just want to work out. Like, that was my thing. Like, I just want to work out. And just thankfully, because of my stubbornness and my persistence, you know, like, I did get that taken care of, because who knows what would have happened if I still had that, honestly. But as far as the lump itself, I forget what the measurements were, but based on the cancer, like, scales, like, there's 2 different scales. One's for, like, I think one is for, like, the cells themselves, and the other one is for the type. I could be wrong. I really don't know. It's been so long since I've even, like, had to worry about all that. But basically, the tumor in me ranked as the angriest cancer, and it also ranked as the most aggressive cancer. So there's 2 strikes against me. My cancer never spread. It completely baffled my doctors. It completely baffled all of us. Like, I am honestly like a walking miracle, because this cancer was essentially in me and growing in me for 8 months prior to 8 months. 7 months, almost 8 months. It'd be 8 months in October. My diagnosis was September 30th. So essentially for 8 months, it was growing in me. It was so aggressive and so angry, and just based on the books, this should have spread everywhere else. Like, I should have been in metastatic cancer, and it never did. It never spread. My margins were clear. My blood work has been coming back clear. My scans have all been clear. And I don't have an explanation for that other than it was just by the grace of God that, you know, like it happened the way it did. So I was actually classified as stage 2 because of the size, not because of anything else. So, I mean, I was definitely given a second chance at life, and that's just the way I look at it. So, it's crazy. It's so crazy just to like think back on. And, you know, people will come up to me and they're like, oh, you had breast cancer. You know, I can't believe you had breast cancer. And, you know, like I honestly forget I even had it just because it doesn't really affect my everyday life except for the fact that I have to take this pill. And, you know, like I'll look at them like, what are you talking about? And then I'm like, oh, yeah, I mean, I guess I did have breast cancer. But I will never consider myself to be a survivor until I hit the 5-month mark, because I don't want to jinx anything. And like I'll tell people I'm cancer free because essentially I am cancer free, but I will never use the word survivor. I'm never going to use that S word until I hit 5 years. It makes me really nervous to even like say that. And you know, like sometimes I'll be like super worried, like the cancer's going to come back or something's going to happen. You know, I just remember like being so worried in between like chemo and radiation because I had the surgery in between. I'm just like, okay, and like we're not getting on with our treatment, you know, like what if something's going to happen in the meantime, you know, what if this, what if that, you know, like that's always going to go through my mind. There'll be times where, you know, like I had myself like so worked up because I would get headaches, and like I hardly ever got headaches in my entire life. And you know, it's just like, okay, what if the cancer spread to my brain? Like, what's going on? We did an MRI on my brain just because I was so worried about it, and everything's clear. I had a CT on my lungs, like everything is clear. So I thank God every day for that. Like I really do, because I know it is truly by His hands that I'm still here and everything has been okay. But I mean, that's basically like my journey up to this point. And I really hope that come September, it really will truly be the end of my breast cancer journey, because I am so over the treatments. I am so over the medicine. Like, I just kind of want to get back to normal. And I am happy my hair's growing back. This is about the length it was whenever I donated it to Wigs For Kids. Like, afterwards, like, this is where it was. So, I mean, like, my hair's growing. I do thank Sugar Bear Hair for that. So, Sugar Bear Hair Gummies, if you are watching this video by chance, you know, thank you. I know we talk a lot on Instagram, but your gummies really do help me, you know, help me get my confidence back. It's helping my hair grow back, and they're so delicious. So if yins aren't eating them, this is all they are. They're just these cute little bottles, and just every day you pop 2 of these cute little bears in your mouth, and that's it. I already took them today, so I'm not taking them on camera, but I love these pills, or these vitamins. They're not pills, thankfully they're not pills. So definitely owe it all to them. And I owed everything to my doctors, you know, like everything that they have done. Just, I can't thank them enough. And they know how appreciative I am, because I make sure I tell them that every time, every chance I get to see them. So that is my journey. And then, you know, like obviously, like if you guys have any questions about anything, you know, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. You can do it via comments, you can do it by email, you can go to Instagram. You know, I'm always checking messages, and I really try to like interact as much as I can. If I don't respond for a couple hours, don't freak out. I'm not on my phone like 24/7, and I will like reply to you. So yeah, I know there's like a lot of information, and I can honestly like talk about it for like so long, because it's something that I've actually grown to be passionate about. You know, like I've always wanted to inspire people, and I always thought it would be through fitness, but here, you know, like I've been inspiring people basically just from like living my life, you know, like living with cancer, dealing with the diagnosis while I was pregnant, raising my son, who's now a toddler, like he's already 18 months old. So it's kind of been like a lot to deal with, but it's not something that you can't do. And I definitely say, you know, like perspective is everything. Your mindset is everything. I know for a fact if I wouldn't have watched my mom go through it almost 12 years ago, I would not be not have been able to handle it as well as I did. But because I did see my mom go through it, and I'm sorry, it's been 14 years at this point. Like, it's been 14 years since her diagnosis. So just like watching her go through it, I already knew what was going to happen. I already knew what the steps were going to be. I knew what the treatment plan was. You know, like, I watched her do it, so I already kind of knew what to expect. If I would have been the first person who had to go through this, I honestly would have had anxiety, like, so much that I know I wouldn't have been able to handle it. But I just kind of, like, adopted my mom's perspective and adopted my mom's personality. And I just always knew that positive days were going to come, you know, better days were going to be coming. I just have to make it through the hard time. And I knew it was something I was going to be able to do because I know my own strength. And I just know that I'm a fighter and I'm stubborn. And I also just kept telling myself that cancer is not going to be the thing that takes me out. It's going to be something crazy. It's not going to be cancer. So, yeah. That's my story. And I'm just going to go ahead and end it here before I keep rambling on. But I do want to just say, too, that I will be speaking, if any of you are in the Pittsburgh area, I will be speaking at Westmoreland Walks this year on October 1st. It's actually at Twin Lakes Park in Greensburg, I think is where the park is located. I'll have to double check on that. But if that's something that you are interested in, or you actually like want to meet me face to face, or you know, like whatever, like I will be making an appearance there. My mom and I will be walking in the walk this year, and like I said, I'm going to be speaking at the walk too. So yeah, feel free to come say hi, because it doesn't bother me one bit. Like, I actually like meeting new people. But until next time, you know, like always, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, follow me on social media, and as always, I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day.